Today I'll be working in my workbook called The Promised Line from Isaac through Jacob, which covers Genesis 25:19 through chapters 31, verse 55. We have already done chapter 1, which is the birth of Jacob and Esau, and then we've seen them as young men. So now we come to, and that fact that Esau has already sold his birthright to Jacob through for a cup of lentil stew. So now we're in chapter 2, which is Isaac and Abimelek. This covers Genesis 26, 1 through 33. Genesis 26, 1. Now there was a famine in the land, besides the previous famine in Abraham's time, and Isaac went to Abimelek, king of the Philistines in Gerar. Most of Isaac's life is spent in Beer Lahai. Underline that city. So we need to underline Beer Lahai. Beer Lahai. Beer Lahai. Okay, like that. What is the problem? There is a famine in the land. What town did Isaac move to? He moved to the town of Gerar. We're going to put a line under the town of Gerar. Or is it? I assume we're going to, yeah. And there you got a line of Gerar. Who did he meet with there? Abimelek. What people is Abimelek king to? The Philistines. Many Bible commentators believe that Abimelek is a title, like king, rather than identifying a single person, since Abraham also met with him. But it could be the same person, as people lived longer those days. Scriptures continue. Genesis 26:2. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I'll make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. I will give them all these lands, and through your offspring all the nations on the earth will be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed me and did everything I required of him, keeping my commands, my decrees, and my instructions. So Isaac stayed in Gerar." The scripture gives the impression that, due to the famine, Isaac had considered moving to what country? The country of Egypt. God tells Isaac that if he stays in this land, then God will do what? I will be with you and bless you. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. All these lands I will give to your descendants. And all these nations on earth, so all these lands I will give to your descendants. Indeed, through your offsprings, all nations on the earth will be blessed. Number 3, aside from staying in the land, Isaac had to keep also God's commands, decrees, and instructions. Where did Isaac stay? In Gerar. Scriptures, Genesis 26:7. When the men of that place asked him about his wife, he said, "She is my sister," because he was afraid to say, "She is my wife." He thought the men of this place might kill me on account of Rebekah because she is beautiful. What nation are the men of this place? Gerar, the Philistines, Gerar. What did Isaac tell these men about Rebekah? That she was his sister. How old is Rebekah at this time? Probably in her 60s, as her sons are grown men and not with Isaac and Rebekah in this story. Perhaps they stayed in Beer Lahai Roi, tending the flock and herds, as Isaac and Rebekah appear to be living in a town at this time. So probably the boys stayed in Lahai Roi. Why did Isaac tell the Philistine men this? He told them that she was his sister so that they wouldn't kill him. Wouldn't Isaac have learned from his father who had made the same mistake? Abraham claimed Sarah, who was his wife, had as a sister both in Egypt and also in Gerar, but both were before Isaac was born, so a minimum of 80 to 100 years prior. Isaac may have heard the story but never really witnessed it. Also, Isaac has not yet been challenged in his faith, being blessed all his life. Number 4, what does Genesis 26, 4 through 5 say again? I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and will give them all these lands um, if you obey me and do everything I require of you, keeping my commands, my statutes, and my instructions, my commands, my decrees, and my instructions. Is lying to the Philistines about his wife, trusting God to take care of him? No, it isn't. Perhaps even staying in the area of Gerar was also not trusting God to take care of him, because that's not the land of Canaan, really. So the scriptures continue. Genesis 26:8. When Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelek, king of the Philistines, looked down from the window and saw Isaac caressing his wife Rebekah. So Abimelek summoned Isaac and said, "She is really your wife. Why did you say she is my sister?" Isaac answered him, "Because I thought I might lose my life on account of her." Then Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the men might well have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." So Abimelech gave orders to all the people, "Anyone who harms this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Had Isaac and Rebekah lived there a short time or a long time? A long time. Therefore, this charade continued for quite a while. What did Abimelech see? Uh, Isaac caressing his wife. Abimelech's home would have been at the highest point of the land. Thankfully for Isaac, what had not happened to Rebekah, she was taken by one of the men and taken as his wife. What had Abimelech said would have happened if a man had slept with Rebekah? Uh, one of them, he would have brought guilt upon us. What does Abimelech order? That no one should harm Isaac or Rebekah. Then Isaac sowed in that land and reaped in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. The man began to prosper and continued prospering until he became very prosperous. All right. A lot of prospering there in that scripture. Genesis 26:14. He had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines envied him. So all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the time of his father Abraham, the Philistines stopped up, filling them with earth. To this point, we had known Abraham and Isaac as just herders of animals, but we now see Isaac becoming a farmer too. He and Rebekah must also have moved out from under the direct view of the king. Based on Genesis 26:12, what did Isaac do? He became a farmer. Did God bless Isaac with his farming? Yes, multiplied and became very prosperous. According to 26:14, what all did Isaac have? He had flocks and herds and servants. What did the Philistines do to slow down the prosperity of Isaac? They filled up all the wells with earth. Here we learn of something that was not told to us earlier, that Abraham had dug several wells in the land of Gerar. The only well that was written about in the Bible during the time of Abraham was the well at Beersheba. History of that region indicates that Abraham built 7 wells in and around Beersheba. Is that where Rebekah and Isaac are now? Very possibly. What would be the problem caused by the wells being stopped up with dirt? Well, they wouldn't produce any water, therefore there wouldn't be water for their flocks and for the people. Why in a dry land is it easier to have flocks and herds than to have crops and fields? Because you can move them around to water. You can't move around crops and fields. What do you think Isaac is going to do? Well, I would think the only thing he could do is to unblock these with earth so that it would fill up with water again. That's my thought. Scriptures continue. Genesis 26:16. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Move away from us. You've become too powerful for us." So Isaac moved away from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar, where he settled. Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham died, and he gave them the same names his father had given them. What did Abimelech want Isaac and all his family and possessions to do? To move away because you're getting too powerful. They were afraid of being taken over. Where did Isaac move to? The Valley of Gerar. The exact location of the Valley of Gerar is unknown. However, the locations of the wells are known, which we will probably see in the next picture. What did Isaac proceed to do after he moved? He proceeded to reopen the wells that were dug, and he gave them. And what names did Isaac give these wells? The same names that his father had given them. So I think those are, yeah, I think those are the wells. Okay. Genesis 26:19. Isaac's servants dug in the valley and discovered a well of fresh water there. But the herders of Gerar quarreled with those of Isaac and said, "The water is ours." So he named the well Esek because they disputed with him. Then they dug another well. They quarreled over that one also. So he named it Sitnah. He moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. He named it Rehoboth, saying, "Now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land." What was the name of the first well? Esek, and put a star there. Okay, a star. Okay, Esek. Okay. Shape fill. What is the name of the second well? Second well is Sitna. Put a star there. Sitna. And, ding, ding. And what is the name of the third well? Rehoboth. Put a star there. Rehoboth. Black. Okay. Did Isaac get mad when the herders of Gerar quarreled about the wells he had dug? No, he didn't. And number 5, now the Lord has given us room and we will flourish in the land. So he kept moving until he was far enough away from the Philistines to have plenty of room for their flocks and herds and crops. Genesis 26:23. From there he went up to Beersheba. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham." Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. From Rehoboth, where did Isaac move to? He moved to Beersheba. Who came to visit Isaac in a dream there? The Lord came to visit him. God promises Isaac 3 things. They are, I will be with you, I will bless you, and I will increase the number of descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. What did Isaac build there? He built an altar there. What did Isaac also have his servants dig there? A well. The scriptures continue. Genesis 26:26. Meanwhile, Abimelek had come to him from Gerar with Azuthath, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. Isaac asked them, "Why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away?" They answered, "We saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you that you will do us no harm, just as we did not harm you, but always treated you well and sent you away peacefully. And now you're blessed by the Lord." Who came to Isaac and his family? Abimelek with his advisor and his commander of forces. What did Abimelek notice about Isaac? That they were blessed by God. What did they want from Isaac? A peace treaty. Does it appear that each side sees the previous encounter differently? Exactly. Isaac sees that he was pushed out, and Abimelek says that he sent you out. How did Isaac see the previous encounter? Since you were hostile to me and sent me away, he sees it as a hostile pushing out of the area. What evidence from Genesis 26:14 through 16 supports Isaac's view? The servants kept stopping up the wells. How does Abimelek describe the previous encounter? Sent you away peacefully. What evidence from 26:14 through 16 supports Abimelek's view? We told you to leave, but we didn't fight you. The scriptures continue. Genesis 26:30. Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they went away peacefully. That day, Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, "We found water." He called it Sheba, and to this day, the name of the town has been Beersheba. What did Isaac do for Abimelek, his commander, and his advisors? He made them a feast. But when was the oath made between the two groups? Early the next morning. Isaac's servants had dug another well. Were they successful? Um, yes, they were successful. They found water. What did he name this well? Sheba. And where was this well? In Beersheba. So we come to the end of this chapter, and so we have the crossword. And let me just make sure that I have my answers to this crossword nearby in case I asked any question I don't remember. Okay, number one, the Lord told Isaac not to go down to where? He told him not to go to Egypt. What town did he build an altar in? Beersheba. Number six, when Abimelek, Pickle, and Ahozaph asked to make a treaty, Isaac made a feast for them. The first well that no one quarreled over was named what? Rehoboth. Number 11, Isaac sowed the land and reaped 100-fold. Number 12, who had dug the original wells? Abraham. Number 13, Isaac told the people in Gerar that Rebekah was his sister. Then 2 down. Due to the famine, Isaac moved from Ber Lahai to where? To Gerar. Number 3, the Philistines stopped up all these wells. Number 4, I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. Number 8, after Isaac moved to Beersheba, Abimelek wanted to make a treaty with Isaac. Number 9, after told to leave, Isaac moved to the valley of Gerar. And 10, what problem did this chapter start with? A famine. That's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoy. Have a great day.